Hey y'all, and welcome back. It is me, your girl BrittReacts. This is the long awaited, I guess it's been a few days. The Unsubscribed podcast did indeed post a follow-up video to the very viral, very disruptive in a good way, and some will say controversial video of Buffalo SVU detective Rich High kind of blowing the whistle and shedding some light on some really awful things that are allegedly going on in the Buffalo school system. Hey y'all, I'm editing this in before the video starts because I talk a lot at the beginning of the video. So if you want to fast forward to about 15 minutes, that's where I start the actual reaction. But I do tell you how much money we've raised, some of the research I did and things like that. At about 1 hour and 25, 1 hour and 27 minutes, wild, I know. I, in real time, Googled Shane Crone's indictment. He was indicted today while I was filming this video, Wednesday, May 7th. And I read the charges that do, in fact, prove that Rich was right. Enjoyed the video. I love you guys. Blowing the whistle and shedding some light on some really awful things that are allegedly going on in the Buffalo school system. If you did not watch my reaction or their video first, I'd be surprised. But if you didn't, I'm going to ask you to click out and at least go watch their video. You don't have to watch mine. I'm simply just reacting to it in a very emotionally charged way because it is close to home, literally and figuratively. I live in the Buffalo area. I homeschool my daughter because when we moved here last August, no one advised that I put her in the public school system. On the contrary, everyone advised we steer clear of the public school system. No one mentioned any of the allegations here. No one really gave us reason, but they all were clear. And I mean everyone. I didn't run across anyone telling me to put my daughter in the public school system. So this was huge for me. This was huge. All right, so my husband is off this week by the grace of God. It is the Division I NCAA yada 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 shutdown for all recruiting. So it is postseason, but they're in the thick of recruiting and they have a shutdown for a week. So he's able to be home, and I asked him to take the kids just out of the house so I could really take my time and film this. I didn't feel rushed. You know, a lot of times when I'm filming, I'm watching my son take a nap. My daughter is doing homeschool in her room. She actually did today's schoolwork last night. She asked me and I was like, the divine timing of that. She's like, can I just get it out of the way? Because I want to sleep in. And I'm like, this is great. Because now I don't have to worry about homeschooling her today. She's gone off with my husband. So that I could really deep dive into this. I didn't want her overhearing anything because, again, she's not in the Buffalo public school system, but a lot of her friends are, a lot of her teammates are, and I don't want to cause her any distress. I'm already getting emotional. All right. With that being said, I am going to talk a little bit more before I get to the video. It's here. I want you to know I plan on watching all 1 hour and 1 minute and 22 seconds of it. But I did go and do a little digging. I never do research because as a reactor, in order for me to give you my honest to God, true, authentic, first time reaction to something, that's just how I have to do it. I'm a terrible actress, and so I could never pretend like I hadn't seen something if I did. But so many of you over the last few days were commenting like, the update is here. They you just been keeping me updated, and I wanted to go do some of the research on my own. I did mention it took me a while to get to this because I was out of town. My daughter's national cheer competition was out of state. We were gone all weekend. I needed a day to regroup from that because, baby, the cheer drama, steer clear. Okay, so a lot of you were telling me the news had been reporting on this. The school system was throwing Rich under the bus, denying his allegations, so on and so forth. And so I did look at a few clips and a few things from the news to just give myself a little footing on what's going on. And so a few things that just stuck out to me. The superintendent shut down her social media. She went onto her Facebook page, and I guess it is mostly professional, but she said she also posts a few personal life tidbits on there. And she said, in short, I'm paraphrasing, she's always championed and rooted for her district, and she's always been transparent, yada, yada, yada. But essentially, it seemed like for her mental health, she needed to shut down her social media. I don't blame anybody who needs to shut down social media for mental health. I talk about it all the time. I do it all the time. It is a real thing. I'm sure she is being inundated with DMs and all kinds of private messages and comments about what is going on. And it probably is making her job really hard. But like, sorry, sis. Like, I don't know. Maybe if y'all would have been doing your job this way, I don't know. Whatever. That caught my attention. There was a news report. They sent out a reporter, their own reporter. Wasn't a like official BPS or police investigation, but a news reporter went out and he found out that over 17,700 phone calls have been made to the police by schools in the Buffalo public school system since 2021. And they went on to break down all of that. But the other number that stuck out to me was over 5,000 of those were unaccounted for, like the why those phone calls were made. Just unaccounted for. Just unaccounted for. Maybe we need to call Doge. I don't know. Shane Cronin is the gentleman who was arrested and is still in jail today for the situation that happened at the science school, the magnet school attached to the Science Museum, where Rich alleges not one, but two children were attempted to be abducted. His charges, he has 4 counts, and only one of them involved child endangerment, and it wasn't kidnapping or attempted kidnapping. It was like endangerment. He's being arraigned today. I probably could Google, like as of right now, it is 11:35 in the morning. I'm not sure if the arraignment has happened. Look, it's still up in my Google. Let me just refresh and see if the arraignment has happened. It says man indicted, accused of trying to kidnap children from public school system. So I don't know how he can be indicted if he wasn't arraigned. This is as of 1 day ago, so I guess the arraignment still hasn't happened. It says accused of attempted kidnapping, I see accused, but there's 2 that say he was actually indicted. And as far as I'm concerned, indicted means you were arraigned, and now this has been stamped that you're being accused of something officially. But I could be wrong. I have no legal background. Let me preface that. I have no legal background. I can't even tell y'all if this is true or not, but I can tell you as a community member, it's alarming. And something has got to be going on for even a little bit of this to have traction in the news. Let's just go with that. All right. I also found out a lot of you were saying they were dragging Rich through the mud. And so I went and did a little investigating on that. So as recent as 2 months ago, he was in the news here in Buffalo, Rich High, the detective that kind of blew the whistle on all of this, for misconduct and unprofessionalism, for a pattern of misbehavior. And they showed clips, what looked like him on Snapchat, like literally doing like the like rainbow tongue thing. And, they said that people were asking for more discipline to have been taken, and that when they asked BPS how they felt about when they asked BPS how they felt about it, they had no comment. Here's what I will say. Whether Rich is guilty of doing unprofessional and other things while on the job has also nothing to do with this investigation and him bringing these things to light. 2 things can exist. He could be really awful at his job, and this story could be really true. I just want to go on the record and say that, in my opinion. And if the investigation went through with what he was doing at his job and they punished him accordingly, then I guess what can we do about that? Do you know what I mean? Like, what I saw looked like just a guy goofing off on his job, which I'm going to raise my hand and tell you, every job I've ever had, I goofed off. And cops, a lot of times, I think we expect them to just walk around rigid and it's like they're people too. I think you can tell from his personality, he's a silly guy. I am not excusing anything he has actually done inappropriately in his line of work. I am just saying to you, we are all human. And if the police department did their investigation and then gave this man a promotion to detective, either they're also hiding things or what he did wasn't bad enough to do whatever they're saying, but it's like these people saying that he should have been disciplined more. It's like, why don't we clean up what's going on in our house before we go in somebody else's house and tell them how to vacuum their floor? Do you understand what I'm saying? All right, last but not least, and feel free to skip through all this if you don't want to hear what I have to say before I watch this video, but I think a lot of you do, and that's why you're here watching this. I'm so proud to say I'm blown away at the fact that we have already raised $1,038. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. After doing some research and watching some news clips, there is another foundation here in Buffalo. It is called Bury the Violence. And the young woman in charge of it, I think her name is Karima. God, I hope I got that right. She not only is local to Buffalo, but she went to the science school where this alleged kidnapping happened. She graduated from there, and her organization focuses on runaway children and children affected by abuse, but it also gives voices to parents. And it just resonated with me. And I know last time I checked, and I'm sure this number has probably doubled or tripled by now, the Unsubscribed podcast had raised $10,000 towards their effort. And I would love to give Bury the Violence our part of the donation. She's a smaller funded situation. She got less publicity because of this. And she has direct connection to the school as alumni. So I feel she could really do some work and really use the money. I'm saying this to you all because I know originally I said I would just contribute to the same initiative as the gentleman, and I'm obviously forgetting the name. The Buffalo something house. Crap, I'm forgetting. You guys know. But I would love, if you all are okay with it, to donate to her. This donation is going to stay open through the month of May. Because you guys don't know this, but on the back end, as creatives, we don't get the money you donate until the following month when we're paid from our AdSense. So though you are seeing this in real time on May 7th, the payment for this will not come through to my AdSense account until almost the end of June. And so I'm going to leave it open, and hopefully we can raise more. But if not, $1,000 is a beautiful message of togetherness and just standing up for something. And I'm grateful. So thank you all. All right. I'm also going to, I hope this is okay, in the description of this video, just thank everyone who did leave a donation, a super thank, a donation via CashApp, a donation via PayPal. Everything for the month of May, whether you intended it for this or not, is going to the cause. So I'm going to list all of your names in there just so I feel you're owed a public thank you. But all right. Alas, 12 minutes and some seconds later, let's get into proof. And y'all know I love a receipt. Pull up with the receipts. Proof. Buffalo schools are covering up child abuse.
And we just go straight into this one, Mr. Cody. If you want to kick it off, Mr. Cody, of why of this real quick update video for everyone.
Not real quick. It's an hour.
To the people watching right now, by the way, this is a rare thing. We're actually doing it streaming to each other instead of in person, and there's reasons behind that. We can't just fly Rich down because the new stuff that has came out. But Cody, if you want to introduce and get this going.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Unsubscribed podcast. I'm joined today by Angry Cops, the Fat Electrician, Eli Double Tap, Brandon Herrera, and myself, Donut Operator. We are here.
Shout out to Brandon Herrera. He did comment on my video, and a lot of you commented under his comment. I know y'all are still trying to get me on the podcast. Listen, if they want me, I'll be there. I'll buy my own plane ticket. I will be there. But I am just grateful to be able to extend my audience and the little bit of voice I have in my corner of the internet. So shout out to Brandon and all the other gentlemen and all of you. Okay? Also, this video is an hour long. I just told you I had to ship my children off. I did eat breakfast, but this is going to bleed into lunchtime. This is why I don't react to movies. I don't have that much time in the day. So if you hear a rustling of a snack bag, a girl's got to eat. I'm just a girl. So if it's going to bother you, just click out. I'm going to drink my Stanley water. I'm going to eat my candy. I might pop a sunflower seed and crunch on a potato chip. Kettle cooked, to be exact. Thank you so much.
Going?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unsubscribed Podcast. I'm joined today by Angry Cops, the Fat Electrician, Eli Double Tap, Brandon Herrera, and myself,
Happy belated
Donut Operator.
birthday,
We are
Nick.
here today because our friend Angry Cops has some updates about the whole Buffalo school system situation. What you got, Rich?
The local media hates me.
Oh,
Yeah, we see that.
It seems that trying to disparage me is far more important
Right.
than looking out for the children of
Right,
Buffalo. So,
right.
how dare I even go on your podcast?
And how
Did you
dare
guys
we
know?
drink? How dare we
How
drink
dare.
on that podcast too?
Grown
Hashtag
men
absolutely foul.
drinking around the
Listen,
table.
I heard you burp, which means you're not allowed to protect children.
That makes sense.
You don't have the right.
So ridiculous. So
I love
fucking
how
ridiculous.
I love how their tone has changed as it becomes apparent that you were A, correct, and B, they get pushback from everybody involved of like, I don't care that he had empty cans near him and he burped at one point while he's trying to expose corruption and endangering
God
kids.
forbid.
It is the
So much
wild.
for a rocky past.
Someone has acid reflux.
It's wild. That's
That's
the
my-
way to downplay
That's
it. It
my
is,
favorite
ugh.
part of the entire thing. They're like, this detective has a rocky past, and he's accusing the Buffalo public school system. So you guys want to hear about the rocky past of the Buffalo public school systems? Because I have it. I've covered every fucking scandal they've had since 1970.
That's
you guys
our
want to
guy.
get into those
That's
real
our
quick?
guy.
I can give
That's
you
our
just
guy.
the brief overviews.
What's
He's
wrong
a
with his
little
arm?
Today we're going to talk about.
Yeah, today we're talking about the Buffalo school system.
Yeah, before we get into that,
This is solidarity. This is brotherhood. They're like, if you're going down, we're all going to go down with you. So if you're the issue, Rich, and you have a checkered past, allow me to do the reporting. I did some research. 100. Oh, no, not 100. He said since 1970. Sorry. But allow me. What's wrong with Nick's arm? I'm distracted. Is he okay? I mean, this is anyone actually surprised? Like, did we really expect the Buffalo school system to step up and say he's right and we are so wrong? No, of course they're going to everyone's now got to cover their behinds because they all got to cover themselves and their jobs. Now we're just going to see how much selfishness and unprotection there really is going on. I mean, legally, they're probably not even allowed to admit it. But I mean, is anyone surprised?
that is the one thing. The main thing is, Rich, you have something we will tie in wherever it falls. We'll go through this linearly of how everything is unfolding. Rich got hit with a big thing, right?
Yeah, I now have evidence that I can share, like that I don't have to sit on and wait. I have evidence that I can
looks like
share
he
that has to
lost
do with
weight.
one of my investigations
Like
is
from
closed
stress.
that I got just the other day. That it's gonna make me look as like I know what I'm talking about.
Wild. You were right. Huh? You weren't making shit up. Huh?
Oh, hold on. Time out. I'm not like a lawyer or anything, but does the testimony of an
defamation?
active serving SVU detective in regards to the area that he does his fucking job in count as evidence to begin with?
I mean, some might call me a subject matter expert, so that could be used in court. Yeah.
Oh, of like the cases that you've worked on that you just gave your testimony about and they still fucking called shit? It's okay though, because now we have like concrete documented evidence.
And really,
Right?
Rich, what is your job? One more time, just so it
One
is
more
very clear of what you do. And it's not a random guy on the internet or the influencer.
Yeah.
Right.
So I am currently a detective in the Buffalo Police Department's Special Victims Unit, which deals with assaults on children, domestic violence, and things of that nature.
A professional.
When I'm not on YouTube, yeah.
Well, hold on. He burps though.
Ah, shit, I forgot. Yeah, we
Not a
recorded that.
professional.
Yeah, if I was a parent and I had my kid in the Buffalo public school system, I don't really think I would give a fuck about the empty White Claw can. That's just me personally, though.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a horrible parent, Brandon, per Channel 7 News. So poor
But what
Ed.
about his decorum?
Poor Ed is just getting lamb basted for for people who don't know. Ed, who is actually he's a good journalist. I enjoyed watching his stuff because he holds people to accountable when he questions them. He doesn't just let them like give him some BS answer, made the mistake of starting his story about finding out about this by saying, oh, the unsub podcast is gross. It's a bunch of dudes drinking, burping, and being, quote, absolutely foul. And then he goes, but then the detective started talking about things that, were concerning.
Are actually
and I'm like,
foul and
oh,
gross.
no, you just made the worst introduction to the unsub community you could have ever made. And now everybody in the unsub community is not letting him skate and being like, the first thing you cared about and talked about in the story was booze, burps, and being foul. You owe us an apology. And then you guys clipped it and we all shared it. And he's like doubling down on it now, saying, no. I was talking about other stuff too. And Nick was brilliant. He goes, oh, isn't that crazy how we brought up a small portion of something that happened in your career and that's all we're focusing on? Seems kind of like the shit you do to Rich, doesn't it?
It's like, oh, it was out of context. I'm like, no, I watched the clip. It's just what you fucking said to open it up. That's directly what you said.
We played like the untouched minute and a half of him talking. We didn't cut it out of anything.
Yeah, we didn't edit it. It wasn't like a little 5-second snippet. It was just his entire introduction to the segment was talking about how foul we are.
Which is becoming a t-shirt. I talked to the guys at Bunker, and they're in.
Listen, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And what I mean by that is that round table is obviously a safe space for those men. There were tears, there was laughter, there was solidarity. And God forbid, I told y'all that I thought if they're not getting a check from White Claw, they should be getting a check from White Claw because it seemed like product placement to me more than anything. Rich was drinking out of a Barbie mug. It's just like when people want to avoid and distract, they will avoid and distract, and they will find any little thing to do that. And in this case, it was men sitting in a man cave having a conversation on the microphones. No one was wasted. No, like I said, I only think I saw one or two people pick a can up and actually drink from it. And have you had a White Claw? Because baby, it takes me 6 of those on the golf cart to feel anything on a good day. Because we all know I only go to the golf course with my husband to drive the golf cart and drink White Claws. So I'm telling you, all right? And I'm 135 pounds soaking wet. Okay, so it really does nothing to these gentlemen. But anyway, I think to villainize a group of men when we don't hear enough positivity and truth and vulnerability from men on the internet in the first place. And now you're shunning them for just being relaxed in their environment, where they highlighted what is, in my opinion, things that are way worse than having White Claws and burping. And let me tell you something right now. If y'all have a problem with burping, click out of here, honey. Click out of here. Especially when people sitting, y'all don't understand how many times do I apply lip gloss throughout a video or chapstick or something, because I'm sitting here talking to myself at a camera in a mic and my mouth is dry. It's like, we are humans. We have bodily functions and needs. Give me a break. And to hone in and focus on this, to me, is another red flag of why are y'all not focusing on what really matters, which is what he was talking about. Instead, we're going to shun them for drinking White Claw. They did nothing illegal. Nothing.
Which is becoming a t-shirt. I talked to the guys at Bunker, and they're in the process of making an absolutely foul t-shirt.
Rich, that is your deplorables.
The deplorables is really good. Well, Nick, do you want to get started with the, you probably predates. We have a quick update, or what we can do, Rich, do a quick, hey, here's a 3 to 5 minute segment to catch everyone up if they're just tuning into this.
Sure. So if everybody's tuning into this for the first time and they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because several weeks ago I went on your podcast, the Unsubscribed podcast, which I'm a regular on because we're all boys, and I felt like that was the appropriate opportunity to talk about how the Buffalo Public Schools has been intentionally misreporting or underreporting and obstructing law enforcement investigations into child abuse and assault against children. It got a lot of attention right off the rip. And a lot of people critiqued it and said, hey, we're uncultured and foul, and questioned why I would go on a lame, dumb podcast and even talk about such a serious topic. And obviously my reasoning and my response to that is because I trust you guys. I love you all. You guys.
Again, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't, because he told us he himself and other people above him were frustrated because they were trying to knock the door down and nothing was happening. Now, if it came out this stuff was going on and Rich had this platform and he didn't bring it to the internet's attention, everyone would have been mad. But because he used a platform that he had to bring attention to something that is really bad, people are mad. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Guys would allow me to talk like that, and because we're tight, and I asked you if I could just steal the spotlight for a second and talk about something that was weighing on my mind, you let me. And the thing that sent me over the edge, that created and started all of this, wasn't just my several years in the Special Victims Unit and the years prior, and hearing about these issues for years and years and years with the Buffalo Public Schools. The straw that broke the camel's back is a recent ongoing investigation where 2 kids were nearly abducted. It was an attempted abduction of 2 kids at an elementary school.
Y'all, this was really
and
recent.
The school had failed to notify one of the kids' parents that the child was a part of an attempted abduction. And then the school deleted the video of the attempted abduction. And then only after somebody within the school had the wherewithal to save a copy of it, I don't know how they did it, but they saved a copy of it somehow. They then gave it to the district attorney's office, and only then, when the district attorney got that recording, did they see that there was a second victim. And I was like, okay, cool. If this is what's going on, then I'm done. And somebody has to know, and a change needs to be made now, because this is egregious. And since then, the news has decided, for the first couple of days, to focus on me instead of the children. And when I say focus on me, they would bring up my past with internal affairs investigations and investigations with the AG's office. They say he's had numerous investigations, which is fine. I can be investigated.
They said, and correct me if I'm wrong, they said that there have been 8 investigations involving Rich. 3 of them that they really dug in on that I think were maybe bigger. They did not, as far as I watched, and I didn't do intensive digging because, hello, I'm not a journalist. I don't know if y'all think I am. I think some people think I am. I'm not. But yeah, they were saying there were 8, but there were 8 total cases that they found, but 3 of them were what they really focused on. Again, I am not denying that he did anything wrong, but in this case, why are we deciding to focus on that instead of, all right, let's deal with the children, and then Rich, we'll circle back to you. It was all about Rich. It was all about making him the bad guy. And I get it. I get, this, you have all these stories of situations with cops who are misusing their power and the abuse, and then you have good cops. I get it. I get the clickbait of it all. I get the newsworthiness of it all to focus on Rich instead of focusing on the children. But isn't that disgusting? Isn't that disgusting? That children being abused in the school system is not more newsworthy than a cop who was investigated and is still on the force for inappropriately and unprofessionally behaving while on the job. Is that an issue? I'm not saying it's not, but I think there's a bigger one on the scale. One outweighs the other.
A million times for every single complaint that anybody's put on me, and I should be, to make sure I'm not a bad cop. What they don't talk about is that at the end of all these investigations, the only thing that they showed, including the AG's office, was that I was too rude when I called a robbery suspect for an armed robbery fat boy, and that I got in an on-duty accident in a vehicle. Those are the only 2 things I was found.
I'm screaming. Don't y'all, like, context is one hell of a thing. When you have context, I'm sorry. He called someone who was a suspect in a robbery fat boy. This is the thing, right? Like, an investigation It's such a broad thing. It's a huge umbrella of a thing. And like he said, he should be investigated for everything. That's due process. Investigate me. And if it comes out that I did something wrong, I will take all consequences and punishments for that. But if at the end of the investigation, the worst thing he did was call someone fat and then he got into an accident in his cop car, the scale again does not lie, my friends. The numbers don't lie. Which situation is worse? But instead, they're going to sensationalize it and focus on the fact that there even were investigations. I'm sure almost every cop has investigations on them because people report cops all the time. Just simply because they don't like the way the cop spoke to them or they didn't like this. A lot of times it's greater than that and sometimes it's not. But what Rich is saying is like, yeah, and then come to find out, I called somebody fat boy.
In an on-duty accident
Sorry,
in a
that's
vehicle.
hilarious. I'm sorry,
Those
that's
are the
hilarious.
only two things I was found like that I did incorrectly. So that brings us to our autism army, who decided to flood the gates with, thank God, the positive comments about me and the local media trying to take away the spotlight from the incidents that I'm talking about in the Buffalo Public Schools, trying to cover up sexual assaults and other things in their schools and trying to make me the center of it. So everybody called them out and literally changed headlines, which I think, Nick, you posted on, where somebody, I think it was a Channel 7 news article, was like, it started off with like, the first paragraph was me having a rocky past, being controversial, and internal affairs investigations. And then within 2 days, that entire portion of the paragraph was gone. And that was about from every news article too. And all it was Special Victims Unit detective. All of a sudden, all of my shit was gone, thank God. And they started focusing on the real issue, which is the children.
And
That was because the community stepped up and held them accountable.
Isn't that crazy how they question why on earth you would go to a podcast and not the news outlets, and then they immediately
y'all
show
did.
you why you were justified in going on our
Look what y'all
podcast
did.
by berating you and focusing on you, and then you actually went in at their request and filmed a 20 to 30 minute interview, and then they only posted 7 minutes of it, whereas you get to come on here and talk for 37 minutes uninterrupted the entire time and get the full fucking story out. That's crazy.
I'm confused
He's
as why
so
they didn't even put the
sarcastic.
27 minutes that we recorded up on their YouTube channel. Like, all of their videos get like 800 views on YouTube. So who cares if you put up the entire unedited version on YouTube? You would get more views.
I'm
the lie,
sorry.
like-
The shade these men are throwing is just so Brit coded. I love it. They get like 800 views. Shout out to your 800 views. I'm not laughing at you if you get 800 views. That's a lot. But for a news channel, it's like, why do you even care? You get more views on TV than you do on your YouTube channel. Why wouldn't you post the whole thing? I cannot. I love these channels.
The entire unedited version on YouTube. You would get more views.
It's the line. Like, one of the crazy things it is, Cody talks about it. I mean, we've all talked about it, but it is not trusting legacy media, the news. And then you get to see how they discredited you with that. It's like, hey, let's focus on his quote unquote rocky past, but then just outright lie. The one that was wild is they said you headbutted a children in the face, and there was a 17-year-old that was like trying to pull somebody off a fucking police officer.
No, that was different. That was an off-duty fight with drug dealers.
Yeah, and they said children.
Yeah, they tried to say children. That kid's been arrested, like, I say kid, he's younger than me, but he was 17. He was selling dope outside my friend's house in a different town, and I confronted him about it, and then he swung at me, and I headbutted him in the mouth. and then we called the police. They showed up. They ended up tasing and arresting one of the dummies that was a part of their little gang. And since then, like, that dude that I got in a fight with has been arrested like numerous times for like breaking into people's cars and dope and just being an overall turd.
Yeah,
I saw the news recently brought up the thing too about that dipshit that was hitting cars with a skateboard and you held him down until cops got there. They brought it up again. They were like held down to a black man having a mental crisis,
Which is hilarious because in the actual video, like you're just holding him down. You're like, he's fine. The guy on the ground's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, he says, I've been waiting for this all day. Because what the news doesn't put out there is that there were already 7 911 calls about him, that he was flashing his dick to people crossing the street and trying to hit cars and people.
Let me tell y'all something. Buffalo, New York is a wild place. And I've been to some wild places. But I do think there is a mental health crisis here. There is a homeless drug gang crisis here. There is. There absolutely is. And it's one of these cities where, like, 2 blocks right, you're in an affluent area, and 2 blocks left, you are in a very unaffluent area. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, and this surpasses, like, race more than I think I've seen in many other cities. You know, like, you typically will think the hood is all black people. Like, no. I just yesterday, I put this on my life. I don't want to put where I was, but I was downtown. I was downtown and I was making a right. There was a Jimmy's on my right, and there were 4 police officers standing across. I was at the light and they were across the light on the right-hand side. I kid you not. And 2 of them were getting ready to cross the street to go in the Jim's. I said Jimmy's, Jim's Steakhouse. And across from them, so I'm here, the cops are here, and across from them, across their side of the street, was a group of men, 4 men. And one had it looked like a water gun. I'm going to go ahead and say it wasn't by any means a real weapon, but I think it was like a water gun or maybe a Nerf gun. And he was pointing it at the cops and laughing. And I heard my sunroof was open, so I heard him say, like, "Hey, dog!" Like, he said something like, "Hey, dog!" like directly to the cop. And the cop just kind of like shrugged it off and was like, yeah, all right. He was drinking what looked like a energy drink. And his fellow police officer walked up and they met with each other, and then they crossed the street and they went into Jim's. It looked like they were responding to a call in Jim's. And as I go to make my right, the other 2 cops are standing outside of Jim's now, and I can hear, because my sunroof is open, and I can hear him say, like, "Oh, he's just being a dickhead." Like, literally. I don't know if I should have just said that. That's my brother's favorite insult, but that's what he said. And it's like, if we can't give cops the space to be human and, like, say things, like, this guy was being completely, like, obnoxiously loud and disrespectful. He was being disrespectful, and they were laughing because they were trying to, like, agitate the cops. And had the cops had no emotional control and done something, then they would have been at fault. But this man I was watching him agitate the cops, and the cops are just ignoring him and doing whatever they were supposed to be doing. But it's just like, if we get upset at cops for using words, and in this case, if Rich is telling the truth, which again, I don't know, I wasn't there, but he was off duty for these 2 things, and he still did his service to the community and protecting people's vehicles and people who are doing illegal things in his friend's front yard. Again, I don't know if Rich is telling the truth, but I'm just saying, like, can we put some perspective on this stuff? It's insane. It's insane. Buffalo is a wild place. It is. It's a wild place. I don't feel unsafe here at all. I love to live in the city. Like, I'm a city girl. I've lived in and visited many, many cities. And I've been to some where I'm like, I could never bring my children here. This is the safest city I've ever lived in. And I mean it. My daughter has walked to the store several blocks away with a friend. Like, she rides her bike around here, and it feels very community oriented and safe. But that doesn't mean there isn't some wild stuff going on. I done seen some wild stuff. There's some wild stuff going on around here, y'all.
With his skateboard before I showed up. And then the police went there, and because there was no complainant to be like, yeah, that's the guy, I want him arrested for flashing me and trying to hit me, they were like, hey, you're the guy that's causing an issue, you need to settle down. They had a mental health counselor with them who deemed him to be sane and fine, and they didn't need to put him into, the loony bin for the day to get him checked out. And they left. And then 3 minutes later, I showed up. And then 3 minutes later, he motherfucked me and then tried to hit my truck with his skateboard. And then we scuffled. And then that was it.
It's a shame that we have to even have this segment before
what's really going on.
Period. This shouldn't have to be discussed to show it's like, hey, this is trustworthy. The discrediting, if you're doing that and you're watching this, or that's your first reaction to be like, well, we just got to discredit that police officer. Fuck. We don't care about the kids, anything. First, let's get this guy. Let's knock him down a peg, and then we'll focus on that. And we have to have this segment just for that, which is fucking wild.
I think it's petty jealousy too, because the local media is upset you didn't go to them. You went to a podcast instead. And they're like, well, do we deserve to break this story? We're the real journalists. They do really think that way. Like, I experienced it myself.
I didn't think about that.
Like with campaign stuff and whatnot. But the thing is, you actually wanted it to get fucking views, which is why you went to our podcast and not the local news station that A, was going to attack you and berate you anyway.
And they
but
just
B,
bury the story.
nobody fucking watches that anymore.
I didn't want to go somewhere where,
Praise
like
the
you
Lord,
said,
hello?
the local news is just going to attack me and make me look dumb. And 20,000 people might see it at most. And the most attention it's going to actually get is, I don't know, somebody from the school saying, we'll look into it. And then it not being a non-story forever. Like, I was past that point. Like I said, that story that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, the one with the guy breaking into the school, trying to steal the 2 kids. Like, I was like, no. Change is going to happen now. Change is going to happen right now.
Well, we still appreciate you coming out, being emotional with us, and feeling comfortable enough to have that discussion, because that was like, it speaks volumes to who you are, and then also the guys you have surrounded yourself with, and that the brotherhood we have formed. That's what I love most about all, like, this group of boys is, man, we're all comfortable around each other, and we're fucking truthful to each other. We don't pull punches, and we are not trying to hide anything. So again, brother, thank you so much for talking that way with us and ruining the after show.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Nicholas, do you want to bring us up to speed on the sins of the Buffalo School District and how the local media has decided to not talk about that at all until Channel 2 came around and decided to?
Just for the sake of time, we're not even going to get into the 70s through the 90s, because those are a complete shit show where almost everything went unreported. And the only reason we know about the majority of them now are because people are filing civil suits after the fact due to new legislation. I believe it's the Safe Children's Act, which basically said there is no statute of limitations for civil suits in regards to sexual assaults. So there's been a bunch of stuff that has come out from that era, but we're going to skip past that. We'll get right into 2019. There was a high school technology teacher caught with illicit child material all over his computer. He is now in federal prison. In 2019, again, another English teacher from the area was caught and convicted for growing marijuana, trafficking marijuana, having possession of illegal firearms, and distributing to minors.
That's nice.
Wow.
2019, so that was great. 2022, we've got Gregory Johnson, position.
It's wild how it skips from 2019 to 2022, don't you think? Like, did we all really live through that time? It just is so wild. There's no reports because wasn't nobody in the schoolhouse. There is a high school here in the Buffalo city area. And it's really a beautiful program. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'm bringing this up because he just said the teacher was growing and distributing, and it made me wonder, was it actually at the school, or was he growing it at his home or somewhere else and then bringing it to the school? I don't know. But the high school has a greenhouse. They have a greenhouse. It's a beautiful greenhouse. It's huge. And right now they have a sign outside. They're selling flowers for Mother's Day. And I'm like, that's such a beautiful thing for the school. And the kids, it's it's a beautiful program to have. I just want to go out on the limb and say that again. I don't think this school system is all bad. And I don't think everyone in it is all bad, right? Again, it's an umbrella, and not everyone that falls under that umbrella is a bad person. You can't paintbrush everybody like that. So I just want to bring light to that. But it did make me immediately think of that greenhouse because, what's he? Okay, let's keep going.
2022. We've got Gregory Johnson, position, principal, accused of ongoing physical and sexual abuse of a student during the school year and field trips. The outcome, there has been no criminal charges filed as of 2025, but there is a civil suit that is filed.
Is he still a principal?
2022, failure to report abuse of a high school counselor. This is actually the case that Rich talked about, I believe.
Failure to report by a high school counselor?
Yes.
Not in 2022. Mine's 2024.
2022, a student reported being physically abused by her father multiple times, even showing video evidence. Yes, that's... Sorry, the date's wrong on that one.
That's all right.
We've got the Shane Cronin incident, which is also what we talked about. That is the man that attempted to kidnap 2 children. And then 2024, we have a music teacher in Buffalo Public School that was attempting to meet up with a 13-year-old girl for sexual acts, but it was actually an undercover sting operation.
Oh.
In 2025, a teacher accidentally gave THC-infused gummies to 2 students that landed them in the hospital. And those are just a couple of the current cases that Buffalo School District has going on. And then we can get into the broader topic. And this is actually due to reporters doing their fucking job after they got called out repeatedly. This information was brought to light by one of, in my opinion, 2 good reporters in Buffalo that's actually doing investigative journalism. So this is from Nate Benson. And he filed FOIA requests with the BPD to get information on the staff.
This is the gentleman I watched that I referenced at the beginning of this reaction. He was the only, I don't know who the second one is, but he was the only one I could find that decided to do some digging and found those numbers that I was mentioning.
That's of how many times the police department is called. Between September of 2021 and current time,
17,000.
Buffalo Police Department has had to respond to 17,772 calls at schools. Gist of those are, we've got 880 times that ambulances were required. We've got a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of threats, larceny, theft, juvenile trouble, lost property. More concerning stats, we've got 881 fights, 176 assaults. We've got 162 incidences of missing persons under the age of 12. We've got 126 assault incidences. And the most concerning of all of this is because when Rich came on the original podcast, he said that the school has some level of influence over school resource officers, SROs, and the school is using that influence to get them to not file things appropriately or bury the cases. Out of those 17,772 police calls, 54% of them are listed under other, miscellaneous, or direct patrol. Direct patrol means it was just the SRO on site that responded. There's no further elaboration as to what 54% of those 7,000 calls.
17,000. That's what I didn't mean to say 5,000. Over half. We don't even know. Was it an ambulance? What was it? We have no idea.
We're relating to. So assuming that it's just proportional, the amount of assaults would be double, if not more, and they're burying them and everything else. So that goes right in line with everything Rich said with things are not getting reported appropriately.
What the fuck? 52%?
54. And this is the thing too, Rich is simply just saying they're not being reported. They're not going through the channels that they're supposed to go through in order to protect our children. He's not even saying these things are actually happening, but there isn't any paper trail of people reporting them so that we can make sure they're not happening. Reporting is a protective measure. It is a preventative measure that could potentially stop something from going there, getting there, continuing, all these things. Hello?
54% of the 17,000 are basically just lumped together under the miscellaneous category, and they have absolutely no idea what the incidents were even pertaining to. And I believe the head of the BPD, the chief, was asked about it by the news and said he wasn't familiar with the stats and needed to look into it more.
Rich, this actually ties, I was going to say real quick, it actually ties in kind of with what Rich has with what you got presented a little bit. Brandon, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if I may be so bold, it sounds like Buffalo Public Schools have a rocky past.
One would say that.
Bro, might it be controversial?
Maybe. I would say that would sound pretty controversial. But enough about your rocky past. Let's talk about your rocky future.
Yeah, it's going to be rocky going forward. Cody, let me know if you ran into any of this so you can echo it, because I feel like this is a nationwide thing. Yep. I think that's why one of the reasons why the video got a lot of attention is a lot of people working around schools or closely with schools have seen this happen, across the states. So when it comes to those 54 the 54% of calls that go under miscellaneous or information only. When I say hiding a call or killing a case, right, that can mean a couple of different things. And we'll talk about hiding a call or burying it, right? If I have a sexual assault between two children at the school, what the school will do sometimes is they'll call it in and make it information only or juvenile trouble, right? So these things do not elicit an investigation. There's no crime in information only or juvenile trouble. They're basically what they say they are. So in an information only, if Nick and I got in a verbal argument and we're neighbors, we don't get along, I might even say that he like pushes my garbage can over 5 feet into my other neighbor's yard because he doesn't like me. I'll call up 911. I'll get a report done. It'll be information only. The information will be that I don't get along with my neighbor and he keeps moving my garbage can. It's really just a way to keep historical track of an issue that somebody might have.
Because if something happens down the line and it goes to court, there is a paper trail that this has been an ongoing situation or this relationship has always been a strain. Like it's evidence. It's evidence.
Hey, I just want this on paper just to show a history of this type of action, right? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation. So what the schools will do is they'll have information brought in by a student, we'll say, who says, my friend or
I just kicked my camera. See, this is why I don't do these long videos because I'm chaotic. I'm unhinged. I like get uncomfortable sitting in this seat for a long time. And y'all know I don't edit my content. I also don't have time to do that. I need to eat. I need to stretch. Just kicked my camera. Sorry, guys.
Myself happens to be assaulted, right? They're reporting for themselves or reporting for one of their friends. And the school will take it. And for some reason, and I don't know why, they're worried that it's going to be labeled as another rape in their school, even if it's just it didn't happen here. I'm just telling you because you're my teacher and I trust you. Could have happened at home, right? And they're burying it under information only. So then no investigation goes through it. Hey, Janie said that she was touched, but it happened at home.
So there is a report. So technically they're not doing anything wrong, but they're filing it under the wrong, like when you click down and it says like information only or actual, like wherever it falls, they're just, and that's how they're getting around it. This is the loopholes we were talking about.
Goes through it. Hey, Janie said that she was touched, but it happened at home. We don't want the stigmatism of another call being here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it information only and then fill it out. Case closed. Hey, this person says that they were touched. We don't no further information. Case closed.
Wow.
Now, the only way that we can find that on BPD is if I search information only at that address. Which never happens. Why would I search information only? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation needed. And that's how they bury it.
When I was a police officer, if you go to the school, crime actually happened, you fill out the criminal report, and then it goes up the chain of command, the people above you are going to look at it. But as Rich said, information only reports, it just gets buried in the computer unless you want to go search for it.
So the big hidden treasure here to whoever wants to find it is literally going to be going through those 5,400 different cases and then looking at the narrative and saying, all right, what did the police officer write down or what did the school tell the police officer here? And in one of my cases that I currently have that I can't get into because I'm looking into it, but what I currently have is I have one of those where it's an investigate or where it's an information only, but the narrative states a sexual assault. And I'm investigating that.
And so when BPS says they're doing their own external investigation, do y'all think they're going to do that? Do you think they're going to have people sit down and go through all 54% of those miscellaneously categorized reports and figure out which ones are valid? I'm someone who truly believes in first of all, discernment. I think I have a pretty good read and can discern things, but someone's posture, someone's demeanor, someone's energy towards something, and when you watch that school board meeting, it doesn't feel like you're watching people who are on fire for education, who are passionate about protecting children. It doesn't seem like that. It never really does. It never really does. I remember the town I grew up in, the place I grew up in was north of Atlanta in the suburbs where I went to school a few years back. I have a bunch of friends who are teachers in this school system now, the school system we grew up in. And there was this long-standing superintendent, like the guy was a freaking dinosaur. And this very young black gay man came and was running for, I think it was superintendent. I don't quote me. It was a higher up position on the school board. And he came and shook the table. First of all, he was not traditionally someone you see on the school board, right? He was a millennial. He was male. He was black. And then he was outwardly gay. And he shook the table, and you could tell he was on fire for correcting the wrongs in this school system. You could tell he was on fire for doing everything he could to give children in the district the best of the best. You could tell he was on fire for it by how passionate he was. I think he ended up winning. But I'm not 100% sure. Anywho, we need people who are on fire, who have a desire and a passion and will lose sleep at night like Rich if something is not right. That's how you get people to protect what's right versus cover up what's wrong.
But the narrative states a sexual assault, and I'm investigating that currently. That is ongoing. I literally have in my possession that I'm investigating now, an ongoing investigation, that is exactly what I stated. Information only, not reported to SVU, unintentionally, accidentally discovered, and then given to me because we're like, why is this inappropriately labeled? Otherwise, we never would have saw it. Otherwise, some poor kid that's a victim potentially because the investigation's ongoing isn't getting any assistance. Now they're getting assistance, but that's only because we looked through it and found it.
And that's something that I saw a lot of people reaching out there like, this isn't just Buffalo public schools. I don't know why you guys are making a big deal of this. This isn't just a you thing. This happens everywhere. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, that's not fucking good either. That's even more important to talk about then.
What's wrong with
how does that make this a non-issue? You just said it was an issue everywhere that isn't talked about.
Yeah.
And just maybe, if the world gets shown that a bunch of random podcasters can start looking at something and get a bunch of people fired or put in jail, maybe it'll set a precedent that everybody else will be like, oh, fuck, maybe I should start doing my job. Or a bunch of podcasters that drink and burp are going to make sure I don't have one.
Mm-hmm. Offenders assemble.
Offenders assemble. Oh, I can't do mine around the school.
They're coming. What is it? A whole bunch of autistic people? They're pissed.
They're really upset.
Sorry, I was shaking my candy jar. Trying to get the good stuff at the top. I'm sorry.
Now, while we're talking about that, just so I don't lose my train of thought, if there is a Buffalo public school, if there's a parent of a child that goes to a Buffalo public school and they're like, hey, you know what? My daughter or my son brought up that something happened at school and I called up the school and I wanted a report done. I wonder if they mislabeled mine. Those parents need to go to any Buffalo Police District House, and they need to go to the report technician, the front desk, and say, hey, here's my ID. I'm so-and-so. So-and-so's my daughter, kid, whatever. I filed a police report with the school a while back, and I never got a call. I'd like a copy of the report and just an update if there is one. And you're going to know then, A, if a report was even done for your incident, because if the report technician behind the desk says there's nothing here for your kid, you would probably search it underneath your child's name or your name. If they say, hey, there's no report for your kid, like period, well, there you go. There's an incident of the school intentionally not reporting something that you called them to report. And then B, if you do get a report, note what is the headline? Is the headline information only? Is it miscellaneous? Is it something that they're trying to hide? Or is it exactly what happened? An assault, some sort of abuse.
On top of that, don't we also have an email address now if you want to shout that out?
takethehighroad@gmail.com. Take the HY road at gmail.com. And that's for any information, like if it's affecting you or you don't know what's going on or you're trying to shine some more light on it, please email that direct email, Take the High Road, and tell us your story, because it is one thing.
Please don't spam it either. Like, don't just flood it with, oh, I heard about this case. Here's a news article. Like, this is if you have something that you feel like needs to get out there or would help with this investigation.
If you were there and you witnessed a thing happen, if you're a first person and you saw it happen, or if you heard it from the person that saw it happen, that's it. And it'd be really great if you could give us dates, times, locations, and the names of those people involved.
I think the Buffalo public school system is handling the scrutiny terrific. Really. I mean, did you see what they did on Monday?
Oh my God.
Yeah, their statement?
Oh, no, that was on Sunday. Monday, they had independent auditors go to the administration building and walk around the hallways and try to ask people questions. And most people ignored them and stonewalled them, which, you know, I can't really fault that if random dudes with cameras were showing up at my place of work. I don't really blame them for that. But then one gentleman by the name of John M. Palmara in the finance office got so upset that they were asking questions about the Buffalo Public Schools deleting evidence. He said, I know what to do. I'll break their phone that they're recording on and destroy more fucking evidence. Good. What a way to set a precedent and show what you guys are all about. Great fucking work. I love it.
Wild. Untruths.
And get arrested for it.
And get arrested for it, actually, yeah. News hasn't covered that one yet.
Brendan, didn't you make an interesting point about their recorded meetings?
Oh yeah, well, because it was the fact that like they're all available on YouTube. Like they live stream their board meetings. But this one, as soon as Detective High comes out on a podcast that is full of foul people, all of a sudden now they want to do a secret meeting that is not.
Yeah, they did. Like part of it was broadcast, and another part of it they like closed off. Who's on the PR team of the public school system in Buffalo? Because they're being advised very poorly. What?
Foul people. All of a sudden now they want to do a secret meeting that is not broadcast to YouTube, that the public is not available to go to.
Journalists weren't allowed. They were kicked out. Journalists were kicked out of that exact same closed door meeting, which is fucking wild.
What do you think they might have talked about?
The journalists also said that there was significantly more security at that meeting. They said there's usually like 1 or 2 people, and this time they had like 10. So then the journalists went and started interviewing teachers since they didn't have anything else to do. And the teacher they interviewed said, I don't know anything about exactly what Detective High has highlighted, but it wouldn't surprise me because at least in the 20 years that he's been there, there's been a pretty big culture of downplaying or hiding violence and assaults altogether.
Some people might call that a clue.
There's a culture of downplaying violence and other incidents like the officers mentioning in this district really since I started over 20 years ago.
I also have a FOIA request in that got submitted today because the email that we set up already, somebody has reached out and said that, I'm not going to say his name because we don't have any evidence yet, but allegedly there is a vice principal at a Buffalo School District school that has been moved around almost every year of his career, and he gets constantly moved around due to complaints of sexual assault and being oddly sexual near children, and he just keeps getting bounced around from school to school. So I have a FOIA request out pertaining to all of the internal records with the Buffalo public school systems.
What?
Yeah, which that stuff drives me fucking crazy because people like it's the people who reply to this stuff right on like Facebook, like some of the people that don't like Rich that are like, I don't know why we're even talking about this happens with the Catholic Church all the time, her. It's like, well, A, statistically speaking, it's way more likely to happen in public schools. B, we don't support that either. It's a controversial statement, but I just think that, you know, abuse should be reported and talked about no matter where it happens. It just so happens to be happening here. This isn't a tit for tat kind of game.
What the fuck?
All right, Rich, you want to get to the hard evidence that we've got?
The new
Lord.
evidence that shows exactly what I've been
receipts.
talking about
Pull the
regarding
receipts.
the, oh man, my wife looks hot. Hi.
Oh.
We're recording a thing right now. You look hot though.
Get this part in.
Hi, cut that out.
So she doesn't want any part of this. She's got so much anxiety. Yeah.
Oh, she's beautiful.
So
She's beautiful.
Nick, speaking of people emailing us and telling us, new and intriguing information that could be brought to light to show a history of, not working with police very well or intentionally mislabeling or even failing to report, I received an email from an individual at a school.
Oh, geez.
And this individual said, hey, Rich, you came to my school last year and you were investigating a sexual assault on one of our students. This person didn't say exactly who told them.
All right, let's read it really fast. I'm a school counselor at blank and was told I could not speak to you, so could never provide this statement from a student. Basically, our admin blank went home to the burbs knowing a girl reported a grape, delaying a grape kit. They never even called you guys until, redacted, halfway through the next day. The kid said there was video. I'm convinced they never tried to get the video. Also, earlier in the year, a girl was SA groped and fondled by several boys while being pushed against a wall, and an admin never reported it and claimed it was horseplay. She ended up moving to another state with a relative because she couldn't feel safe in the school. These aren't just students to me either. They are my neighbors and community. This is Buffalo. This is Buffalo. A quick Google search of my name would tell you that I have dedicated my life to advocating for people, but blank years at BPS has almost broken me. Oh, God bless her. Don't even know if these kids will have a counselor next year. Jesus Christ.
That they were not allowed to talk to me. But this person also had a statement from the student. Not the student that was assaulted, but the student's friend that was one of the people that she confided in. I forget the actual term that we use for it in policing, but whenever somebody confides their sexual assault to a friend, it's like their first utterance of it happening. That's a big deal. We notate the date and time and what that person was told by that individual, and it grants credence and validates the victim's story, right? Instead of just a he said, she said, there's other people involved, which is what we want. More eyes, more statements, more voices to solidify exactly what happened. So I'm going to read what this child wrote in a statement, and then I'll go over why it's a big deal.
Just to be clear, before you read the statement, just so I understand exactly what's happening. You investigated this, you solved the case, you closed the case.
Yes.
And this individual at the school, either a teacher, a counselor, whoever, was given this written information by the student and then was told she was not allowed to give it to you, the detective that was actively investigating this assault.
That's correct.
What the
So
fuck,
this is new evidence.
Jesus.
This is new evidence brought in after the fact because the administration withheld evidence intentionally in a sexual assault case.
That's correct.
So this would be failure to report and obstruction of justice?
I mean, I would say so.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're all on the same
Or
page.
witness tampering. I mean, I don't know if you could really do witness tampering. That's kind of a stretch, but basically evidence was available. This person wanted to share it with me, and then they were told not to share it with me and not to even talk to me.
It's fucking wild.
And get ready for this. Get ready for this. All right, so I'm going to read it now. If you could please bleep out, I'm not even going to say the names, but please black out the names of those that are suspects, because the names mentioned in here could come up as a part of a new investigation for failure to report. So we're going to leave the names of the suspects out. I'm just going to say like teacher A or just the teacher, whatever. On Tuesday, October 22nd, I told Miss Blank that the victim got raped in the auditorium. She said, I'm not the right person to tell, and she took me to Miss Blank in the office. I told Miss Blank, today, the victim came late to a different teacher's class because she got raped in the auditorium. Miss Blank asked, is there any proof? Which is not what you ask a child when they're reporting this. The victim's friend stated, Yes, there is a video. Miss Blank asked, who was the boy? I said suspect. And she said, okay. She said she would handle it tomorrow. She would handle it tomorrow. I thought she was going to do something or pull us in the morning and talk about it. But then the half of the seventh grade.
Seventh grade. This happened in an auditorium in a middle school. I might throw up. My stomach is turning. I might throw up. Not that it makes it any better, but I just knew this was high school. I just in my mind, I was not prepared for this to be middle school. And again, that does not make it any more palatable, any easier to swallow. This is
talk about it. But then the half of the seventh grade knew, so we told Miss Blank because nothing was done. Miss Blank was in shock and said, give me 5 minutes. We walked away from Miss Blank and the victim started crying. So we went to go look for Miss Blank. Signed, the victim's friend who made this statement 2 days after. The victim's friend is Blank.
10/24/24.
Signed, the
victim was at school after this, and most of the grade level knew this happened. So not only did this trauma happen to this child, she's then humiliated by the trauma, and no adult did anything. There is a very VIP section in hell, hotter than any other. Just burn.
Victim's friend who made this statement 2 days after. So in case you're not picking up what I'm putting down here, there was an assault on a child. The child made statements to her friend, hey, I got assaulted. The friend goes to teachers and says, hey, so-and-so was assaulted.
They'll say teacher A. So teacher A, is there multiple teachers?
There's multiple teachers.
There's multiple teachers.
Okay, so teacher A is the first one.
Sure. Teacher A is first. Hey, we're going to go to teacher A and we're going to tell her. Teacher A says, this ain't in my job description. Let's go to teacher B, which is fine. Whatever. You go into another teacher. She goes to teacher B. Teacher B says, where's the proof? Do you have any proof? Which is not how you say things to a child. There's ways that you interview children. This is not one of them.
It's almost like people that work in the education system aren't qualified to conduct their own investigations.
They are.
Mother of God, Nick, you nailed it on the head.
Wow.
They're not
fucking
trained.
Crazy. Makes you wonder how well all the investigations they've performed in the past have turned out.
So this goes on.
This is the end? This is like all the movement that ever happened on this case?
Well, I'll go into a little bit what happened afterwards to give it like a full picture. But in this scenario, in this child's statement, so she goes to teacher A, goes to teacher B. Teacher B says, well, what happened? Is there proof? Yeah, there's video. And then says, all right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. No, you fucking don't. You report that shit immediately, because if there's video going...
How do you go home and put your head down at night knowing that there is a possibility, there is an inkling of a chance that a 7th grade child, 7th grade is about 12 to 14, depending on what state you're in, right? Like depending on the birthday, where it falls. How do you go home, put your head down on a pillow and sleep, knowing you are sitting on the possibility of this happening on your watch? It's diabolical. It's evil. It's evil.
don't. You report that shit immediately, because if there's video going around of that kid getting assaulted all over school, TikTok? That's got to get nipped in the butt right away. You can't have that. You've got underage kids doing it. Guess what that's called? There's a term for that. And it's getting spread around the school.
It's getting shared, like, and they have no. But again, 7th grade, going to an adult and saying, "Hey, this just happened." Happened, and there's video evidence that is fucking asinine to go. Asinine. I'll look into it tomorrow,
dude.
That's just pure rage. Of especially your own kids, and then you hear this. It's fucking wild. The first response is, "I'll look into it tomorrow."
No, the first response is, you shouldn't tell me. Let's go tell somebody else. That's wild. That.
So then, after nothing happened, then they went to teacher C, another teacher.
I think they went to a third individual, teacher, whatever. I think it was teacher. And then I believe that teacher, let me just double check. I want to, so in the morning, nothing happened. But then, that following day, half of 7th grade already knew what was going on. So then they went to teacher C and said, "Give me 5 minutes." That teacher, I believe, was the one that started, notifying school individuals and other things like that, and then got the ball rolling. Thank God. So showed up.
What's with this third time's a charm in this school system? Why does it take 3 times for a child to do what children should feel safe enough to do and be confident that they'll be protected before something happens?
But day, maybe 2.
I'm stressing at this point.
Teacher C is the one that gathered this statement from the 7th grader and then was told by the administration she was not allowed to work with you or turn evidence over to you.
Oh, this is that same case?
I'm not sure. I'm just for anonymity's sake.
Different emails.
There are 5 people named in this document. Okay. And I'm not sure. I don't even want to say that the person that gave it to me is labeled in there or isn't labeled in there. I'm going to give them a little bit of anonymity just because I don't want their shit to blow up, right? The person that gave me this information or that forwarded the complaint may or may not be in this document. Good fucking luck figuring that out. But I did receive it. So, boom. The end result of this investigation, thank God, was that it was determined not to be an assault. We ironed everything out. I don't want to get in, these kids' businesses, but it was basically a very emotional reaction to the videos being spread, embarrassment, etc. Right? And by the way, these are children. They're scared. They don't know what's going on. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're doing adult activities and recording them, not understanding the repercussions. It was a mess that we sifted through. But because of that mess that we sifted through, that we investigated, because I don't know if people know this, but as a detective, especially when it comes to kids, my job isn't to arrest a 16-year-old or 12-year-old or 8-year-old. My job is to determine if a crime happened, and then also to get these kids assistance, especially when it comes to mental health awareness, and getting them to the Child Advocacy Center, the Family Justice Center, and getting them counseling, which is exactly what.
Thank God the whole point of an investigation is to get to the answers. No one wants the story to be true, but we have to be able to do the investigation, and we can't do the investigation if you're burying the reports, burying the stories, burying what the children are telling you. How can we get the good news that no, actually, it wasn't that. The little girl just was so emotional. She was embarrassed. Thank God. But as a teacher, when a child comes to you and tells you that, again, how can you go home, make dinner, watch The Bachelor, sit down on your couch, doom scroll through Instagram, go to bed, wake up, go back to work and say nothing at the thought of this being a possibility in a school that you work at? The
Child Advocacy Center, the Family Justice Center, and getting them counseling, which is exactly what happened. We determined that a crime hadn't been committed. We moved forward. We got these kids on both sides help, and everybody is okay. Nobody's in jail. What do you know? Cops don't just arrest everybody when they show up.
With no help from the school system.
Honestly, I thought that the school was phenomenal. I went there and I worked with them. One of the principals or both of the principals were giving me information. They were calling me up. They were wondering about updates. There were teachers in the school that like wanted answers right away. And the principal was like, hey, listen, our school's upset about this. We're looking for this. We'd like information when you can get it to us. I thought it was phenomenal. And then I get smacked with this. So even when I think that I'm getting treated amazing and I have a great relationship with the people at this school, there's somebody within the school. I don't know who. I don't know who yet. I asked this question. I haven't gotten a response yet. So I'm waiting. Somebody in that school, somebody still was like, don't help the cops. Don't give them this statement. It's going to look like we failed to report, which you did.
Yeah, because you said that like it was later determined that there was no crime was actually committed. Correct. But the school didn't know that at the time. For all the school knew, that could have been a full-blown rape that they were making sure they did not cooperate with your investigation at all or report it.
Thank you. That is the exact point that I wanted to hit on. And you brought it up before I could. Thank you, Brandon. The point of this whole entire thing is that at the time, this was a very real investigation regarding the assault of a child. So how in the world, without knowing anything other than that, than the victim's statement of what happened, and they're now being video passed around the school, would you be like, you know what we should do? We should still withhold this from the detectives who are doing the investigation. Mind blowing.
It's just speechless of that idea of like, well, let's delay it and now don't talk to the police. Giving a direct, because as you said, they were told not to work with the police.
Correct.
And that's fucking disgusting.
Welcome to my world. Maybe now Channel 4 can get off my back. And they can say, oh, well, I guess there is information. Because let me tell you, the hardest part for me, like as an individual, like if I'm being selfish, right? The hardest part for me so far is knowing the information that I've investigated on these cases, but not being able to share it with the news or you guys because it's part of an investigation that's ongoing or it's something that I know because of my job, and I can't give away too much information because otherwise I could be held accountable for violating the media policies of my department.
Listen, if you've ever had to deal with like having information or knowing something across the board, and you have a moral compass, and you know what I mean, you have dignity and character, it will eat you alive. You won't be able to eat. You won't be able to sleep. It will consume your every waking thought because your moral compass is always going to point toward what is right. And even if in your mind you're trying to talk yourself out of like, it's okay, like it'll work out. It's like, this is what I think Rich just, he was going to implode if he didn't speak up, and not just speak up, but speak up in a way that he knew it would be heard, which again is why he didn't just go to the news. I believe in my heart of hearts, thoughtfully thought out, how can I make this the most impactful and the most effective way to create change? I have a platform. I have friends who have platforms. We champion for autism. We have gained a community of people who trust what we say and know that we stand for good things. I'm going to go to those people. I said it in my first reaction. I'll say it in this one, and I'll say it in every one after this. It is every adult's responsibility on the planet Earth to protect children. It takes a village. Some adults are gifted children that don't deserve to have children. And you don't have to be perfect. I'm not a perfect parent. I have to apologize to my daughter on a weekly basis for losing my temper or just snapping at her or whatever. But that's why I have a group of people around me that can hold me accountable. That's why I have a husband who can be like, oh, go, mommy's overstimulated. Go take a break. But no matter what, and we've all been children, and some of us, I'd be willing to say more than half of us have been children who have been abused, mistreated, overlooked, moved out of the way. So we should be even more sensitive and prepared and willing to and passionately protecting our children. And I don't mean the ones that I brought into this world. I mean every single child I encounter and the ones I don't. It is our duty. It is our duty. And then you sign up to be a teacher or a counselor. Double duty. Double duty. On and off the clock. It is now absolutely, you are on the front lines with these kids. And these kids today, I mean, I can think about some of the things I went through, said, did, saw in my day in the schoolhouse. But what these kids are up against today in the world of complete access to any and everything, don't take the job if you're not ready to answer the call. Because there is a calling if you want to be in the school with these kids dealing with what they're dealing with. It's beyond arithmetic. It's beyond English. It's beyond PE. Don't get the degree. Don't get the certification. Don't step foot in a school if you are not prepared to go double down on the protection of children. I'm fired up. I'm sorry. I was pretty cool the whole time eating my snacks, minding my business, but I'm just so... It just is beyond me. It is beyond me how people can put their head on a pillow at night and be okay, knowing that just maybe a 12 to 14-year-old girl was assaulted at school. I'm sorry, my mic is hot. I'm going to shut up.
For violating the media policies of my department.
Okay, wait, I missed
now, violate too much information, because otherwise I could be held accountable for violating the media policies of my department.
Okay.
Now this is different.
Okay.
This case is closed. I still haven't given away any information that you couldn't get from a FOIA request on a closed case, no longer open, closed. Okay. And this was given to me as a civilian by another civilian. This has nothing,
Not
document that was given to me had nothing to do with me being on the job. I was off. They sent it to my personal email. That's how they got this information to me. They gave this to angry cops, not Detective High.
Detective High, okay.
So now I can talk about it. And I know everything about this case because it was my case.
Okay. I've been Googling this whole time, refreshing about Shane Crom. So this was today, 5 hours ago, on the Erie County District Attorney website. Let me make sure I'm quoting that right. Yes, erie.gov. As of this very moment, it is 12:56 p.m. on Wednesday, May 7th. Defendant indicted for attempting to kidnap student. Well, that title is going to tell you that Rich wasn't wrong. He wasn't lying. Erie County District Attorney Michael J. Keene announces that Shane K. Crom, 30 of Lombard, Illinois, was arraigned this morning before Erie County Court Judge James, I can't say his last name, on an indictment charging him with the following offenses. 1 account of kidnapping, attempted kidnapping in the 2nd degree, Class C violent felony. 1 account of burglary in the 3rd degree, Class D felony. 1 count of attempted luring a child, Class E felony. 1 count of attempted assault in the 2nd degree, Class E felony. 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child, Class A misdemeanor. It is alleged that on Tuesday, February 11th, at 2025, approximately 12:35 p.m., police responded to a reported assault by an intruder inside of the school near Martin Luther King Jr. Park in the city of Buffalo. The defendant is accused of unlawfully entering the school that is connected to the Science Museum, where they have doors that may or may not be locked, with the intent to commit a crime. The defendant, who did not have permission to be inside of the school, allegedly approached 2 juvenile students. How many? How many? How many? Two juvenile students in the hallway. The defendant is accused of attempting to lure and abduct one of the students. So he approached 2, he attempted and tried to lure 1. A school employee who saw the defendant in the hallway with the students directed him to leave. After he was confronted, the defendant allegedly attempted to cause physical injury to the school employee by punching her in the face and shoving her to the ground. The defendant allegedly ran out of the building after a school security guard intervened. Cronin was taken into custody nearby a short time after the incident. The defendant was held without bail following his arraignment in Buffalo City Court. Cronin is scheduled to return on Wednesday, June 18, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. for a pre-trial conference. I bet you there'll be protesters out there. I bet you, knowing Buffalo, there will be protesters out there. For a pre-trial conference, he remains held without bail. If convicted of the highest charge, Cronin faces a maximum sentence of 15 years. Not enough. Put him under the jail. Not enough. AKIN command. Then it goes on and on. You can read it yourself. It's literally on 4.erie.gov. Listen. No matter whether he tried to abduct 1 or 2, Rich is the one who told us there were 2 kids, and they only knew there were 2 kids because they saw it on the video. Because originally they were trying to report that it was only 1 child, but there were 2. Breaking news. This is breaking news. Breaking news.
But that's the hardest thing that has been, is watching people shit on me on the internet because I can't give them everything right off the rip. You've got to ask for a FOIA request because I'm already on thin ice. I'm already going out and being a fucking whistleblower. I'm already putting, the spotlight on my city and my department.
I mean, you're doing you're doing it.
I can't do anything more without literally just ruining my reputation with my department and then just going through files and just sending everybody stuff. And then I would completely understand if I was unhinged like that and just gave everything away, that I would be suspended. So I can't cross that line.
And you again, you are even make us, like Nick, as you said earlier, you submitted a FOIA request. So did I. We are doing it the right way because Rich is following the rules that he has to follow. And he's like, hey, here, you have to do it this way. He's just like, here's how you submit for that. And we have to follow those guidelines. But that's going to be a week to a month to get this shit out, get the ball rolling on that stuff. And it's delay. And unfortunately, with the internet or something like this, 2 weeks on the internet, it's fucking gone. People forget about it. So that's why right now it's, hey, update, here you go, roll this out so these people are actually held accountable for their actions or lack thereof actions.
As far as that stuff goes, with the department itself, is it productive? Because I saw a lot of people calling people within the Buffalo Police Department and stuff like that. Is that the way you would recommend going about it, or is that just going to make things hard for you? Because to my understanding, the Buffalo Police Department is the one that is upset about being stonewalled about this.
So if you want to call somebody and make a complaint, call the Board of Education. Call the mayor. If you want to...
The Board of Education has said that they are being inundated by phone calls right now. And if I can go based off of their body language, there's nothing urgent for them.
Call the Board of Education. Call the mayor. If you want to see an investigation that is beyond the Buffalo Police Department, which at this point I believe it should be, right? There's so many moving pieces that the district attorney's office is involved because the schools are ignoring subpoenas by them. They're not assisting and they're obstructing investigations by the Buffalo Police Department, and they're also not reporting them, right? When you have the district attorney's office, the Buffalo Police Department, and you could even go with New York State Bar, because lawyers aren't responding to subpoenas. There's the U.S. Board of Education.
Right.
When you have all these things
lawyers
together,
strip them.
You can't have all these individual investigations going on and not talk to one another. So in a perfect world, somebody a step above the district attorney's office and the Buffalo Police Department would be investigating this, whether it be the AG's office, the U.S. attorneys, the FBI, the New York State Bar, but the bar is more towards, lawyers that do something incorrectly, not really criminal aspects of it. Even, the AG Pam Bondi's office, the AG, that's where I think where the investigation needs to go. So people like tagging them, emailing them, that I think is where it needs to go. And I think one of the important things, I forget if we talked about it or not, is to have family members like the mom and dad of these kids that think that they reported something to the school and that the school did the right thing and reported it to the police, is those people need to go to a Buffalo Police District Station House and request the report with their child's name on it. Bring your ID, and then you'll know. Was there a report even done, or was it intentionally mislabeled, or was it done appropriately? And if it wasn't, you feel free to email takethehighroad@gmail.com.
Great idea, by the way.
Well, who thought up of Take the High Road? Was it Eli?
It was the other. I think that was fucking the people, right, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I suggested it, but that idea came straight from the comment section. It just kind of became the official slogan of all of this.
High Road was taken. So Show was like, I got Take the High Road. I was like, Show, that's beautiful.
It's Take the High Road at gmail.com?
HY. Yep, HY.
It's one of the many, many instances of our army of autists coming in clutch to make sure that this happens.
And I really appreciate them. It was rough the first couple of days trying to deal with this. And then, I made my little video saying, hey, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. By the way, to everybody that's been pooping on me back home, I'm in Boston trying to find the missing children of Buffalo. So thanks. And that video got a lot of positive comments, and it definitely rubbed my tummy, made me feel a little bit better.
We might have to cut this part, but I just got another email.
Oh?
What'd you get?
One of the directors of the Buffalo Public Schools Safety and Security is a fired Buffalo police officer that was handed the job by Kreiner Cash because he was his driver. The news refused to report on this after the McKinley shooting took place a few years back. He has been investigated internally several times for his treatment of employees. I thought this might interest you. I would really like to remain anonymous. And then they sent me several links regarding this.
Was he fired? Did it say fired Buffalo cop?
It says fired Buffalo cop.
Oh, but that's not a fucking red flag.
I mean, it's fairly hard to get fired as a cop in Buffalo. You guys are union, aren't you?
We're union. We just fired a couple people. You gotta mess up pretty good. And when you mess up pretty good, you're gone. Like that.
That, and I imagine there's a lot of people that really want Rich to have been fired over the years. And he's still here. He's still kicking.
Thanks, India Walton.
Whoa, so what next would just be like any worries from you for like before we close this out? What are your worries?
I've got one more. I forgot, but basically a preschool either teacher's aide or teacher, in order to discipline, this is preschool kids, in order to discipline the kids in preschool, she would put them in the bathroom and turn off the lights and then put her foot against the door so the kid's going to get out.
What?
Well, that's fucking mean.
And that's like sensory deprivation. Like that's how you like
that's
mess with
cruel and unusual
mind.
Punishment.
So you're doing this to like a 4-year-old.
This is how like problems. This is how problems start, and that's
right. And these children who are being traumatized will go on into the school system and be marked as problematic, bad children because someone did something so awful to them in the beginning of their school career, and it'll follow them because that's traumatic. Y'all listen. Y'all already know where I stand. I really only thought I was going to be homeschooling my daughter for 1 year as we just settled into Buffalo and figured out the area and, were we going to do a private school? Were we going to do a charter school? Yada, yada, yada. She now loves homeschool. We found our rhythm. I have found my routine and my schedule, how to make it work with everything that I have going on in my husband's schedule and the baby and all these things. It works. It's funny because yesterday my husband, she read something out loud. And again, I'm not going to put my daughter's like personal business out there, but she's really struggled education. She's struggled. And I don't know how much of it is the school system failed her and how much of it is because she was a COVID kid and how much of it was I didn't realize I needed to be intervening at home when she came home from school. It doesn't matter. But he recognized her growth instantly. She read something. We were playing Monopoly and she was reading and doing math, which Monopoly is a great game for children to learn basic fundamentals in reading and math. And they love it and they don't even realize it's educational. And he said, "Wow, you must have a really good teacher." And she said, "I do." And I'm just so glad I was able to intervene before anyone else could have failed her. And I don't blame the teachers, you guys. I don't think with the teachers in the class. Now, this lady with the bathroom and the kindergartners needs to be cut down from the knees. I want to kick her in the back of the knees and then punch her in the throat. But for the most part, these teachers, y'all, are doing the best they can. And I do believe that they're up against giants that they cannot knock down. I want to be very clear about that. They're just doing what they're told to do, and they feel very small. I believe that. And I'm not trying to say that all schools are bad or public schools bad. I am a product of public schooling, and I think it shaped me greatly. And I do want my child to go back to a school setting eventually because I think it's a huge part of your formative years, and she's very social, but knowing that this one sacrifice that we made could have saved her from a lifetime of having to heal from trauma from someone in the school system is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I don't feel like I need praise. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for all of her friends that are in the school system whose parents don't have the luxury to stay home and homeschool their children, or don't have the luxury to pay to put their kids in better schools. And that's why it's so important for us, the community, the adults, the village, to step up and stand up and say something. So many of you were donating and saying, like, here's a small thing. Nothing is too small. David took on Goliath and knocked him down. Nothing is too small. Nothing is too small. Nothing is too small. Something is something. Nothing is nothing. I'm going to let the guys finish. I love you guys so much. I will continue to react to this from the deepest place of my heart because it is a part of my world and it's important.
So many different problems with that fucking situation. You have, again, you're shutting a kid in darkness, creating a new fear. Also, then you're going to have the repercussions of, hey, this is an adult I'm supposed to trust. Now you're breaking trust. Now you're going to have anxiety around adults. You're not going to trust, or you're going to have confusion of who to trust and who not to trust, and fear as you get older. That is just a world of so messed up to do to a 4-year-old.
A baby.
That's like lasting repercussions.
That person is still I have their name. That person is still at the school. That person's just not allowed in that classroom anymore.
Wait, they fucking kept they weren't fired?
They're still in the same school.
They're still around kids?
Close the school down.
They're still keeping.
I believe the email said they're still an active teacher. They're just not allowed to teach kindergartners anymore.
Close the school down.
So it's fine to lock kids in the bathroom with no lights as long as they're tall enough to activate the light switch, apparently.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to violate the 8th Amendment rights of a kindergartner? Like, I did not have that on my bingo card, but all right.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're both still working at the school, and I have the person's name.
Do we have FOIA requests out for that yet?
No, I only have the person's last name.
Okay, I can write one today.
Okay.
So what is the next, what are any fears that what are your biggest fears with this, like going unacknowledged?
Is that there's no continued investigation. Like there's no investigation. Right now, the Buffalo Public Schools are saying that they're doing their own third-party investigation, which doesn't mean jack shit to me.
Doesn't mean anything.
Right?
Doesn't mean
They're buying their own lawyer,
That's what that means, right? Third party means someone that's not privy to, involved in. They're hiring an outsourced investigator. That actually pisses me off even more.
doesn't mean jack shit to me, right? They're buying their own lawyer, their own investigator to do an investigation on themselves. And what's going to happen when that investigator finds a criminal aspect to this? Like failing to report is it's a crime in New York State. It's New York State Penal Code.
Everybody's fired.
And I forget what the number is, but it's a mandated reporter not reporting.
And going to jail.
Right? That is a thing. It's a misdemeanor that you could be arrested for, right? So what are they going to find? What are they going to do when they find that a crime has been committed and that people have failed to report?
They're going to label it information only.
They're going to label it information only and bury that shit. So honestly, unless it's the
it's not funny.
This is, like I said, there's so many moving parts, especially with the DA's office not having subpoenas be responded to, that this is above the Buffalo Police Department. This has to be at a minimum the DA's office. At a minimum, the DA's office has to do an investigation.
And they've elected to remain silent so far.
Which is disheartening, because I don't know how anybody could look at this and say, I think that sticking up for kids is going to make us look bad.
Is there the election coming up?
Not for another 3.
I was just about to say, get to the polls, get to the polls, get to the polls. It's unfortunate because our election here, we moved here in August. The election was in November. I knew nothing. And I was one of those people that, like, unfortunately, if there was anything local, if I can be 100% transparent with y'all, I was having to just like do the guessing. I knew nothing, and that's shame on me. But I bet you next time,
Us look bad.
I'm gonna do something.
Is there the election coming up?
Not for another 3 years, but I got a long fucking memory.
Brother, listen.
Just for a personal note to the DA, there's currently a civil suit that just got settled in 2023 for $10 million because a man was sexually assaulted when he was a child, and he was sexually assaulted when he was 11 years old. And what ended up happening with this case in 1978 was he was caught by Buffalo PD receiving acts from an 11-year-old in his car at a park, and the cops arrested him immediately and tried to press charges and have charges pressed, obviously for acts with an 11-year-old. And what ended up happening was, because this gentleman was connected and had friends, the DA and a local judge received, I forget what you call it, but essentially letters from people vouching for his credibility.
Character witness.
Character witness. He had character witness letters, and then he was evaluated by a psychiatrist that said he probably won't do it again. So the DA's office and the local judge decided to not press charges. He then went on to be a sitting board member of the Lovejoy Elderly and Youth Program for years, where he presumably assaulted more people. So DA's office, you can be that DA or you can be the DA that does your fucking job. Up to you.
Yeah, we would love nothing more than to give huge kudos to somebody for cracking down on this and being the person to blow this wide open. You know, if an investigation actually happened and people lost their jobs or went to jail over shit like this, over, you know, just basic accountability, we would love to just applaud them for doing that. But instead, everybody seems like their immediate action is just to stonewall even harder, pretend they're investigating, and attack Rich's character. And if that's the way you want to fucking play this, we can do this all day.
So it's pretty much an open offer to anybody that wants to grow a spine and do the right thing. Everybody in this video right now can build up a person and their career just as fast as we can tear it down. So if you're going to be the person that steps in and does the right thing, we're going to be in your fucking corner for you getting reelected or promoted to continue doing the right thing.
Us, okay? Yep. Quack bang.
Yeah, you have our full weight, and I guarantee our community's weight behind you too.
Yeah, this isn't just one way, trolling, we just want to attack people. No, we just want the right fucking thing to happen, and we're willing to do whatever's necessary.
Especially with kids. Like, anything with children, special needs, anyone that needs help, doesn't have a voice, that is our job, like, to protect them, to help them, to guide them. They are our future.
Well, I'm getting the look, boys.
No.
Okay. Yeah, you, Rich,
He's
thank
gotta
you.
go.
You look fat? No, you don't look fat. You look adorable. You're not a fat sausage. I'll help you tie them. We're closing right now. You're welcome.
I cannot.
She's pretty and she deserves a night out because she's been stressed because of my life, and I also haven't seen her a bunch, so I gotta give the woman props. She's been amazing through this.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for sharing all that, the updates. And Nick, awesome job of your own personal research and going above and beyond. And that goes for all the guys. Just really Twitter, social media, X, whatever you want to call it. All y'all have been stepping up and really getting the message out there. And it's awesome to see. And I am super proud of you all. And same for the community. Y'all are crushing it. Y'all are forcing people to look at this shit and acknowledge it. So thank you to each and every one of you out there.
And I've never seen anybody on the fucking receiving end of a fat electrician TISM research hole. And frankly, it's terrifying. And I'm glad we're friends.
Yeah. Nick, hold up that book you just pulled out.
I made a
That's binders, dude.
Trapper keeper of bullshit.
I am so far up the school district's ass. If they open their mouth, I'm going to use them as a telescope. Okay. I'm fucking all over it.
Nick has pink eye.
Oh, and what these poor bastards don't even know is it's only just begun. We just gave them a taste. We're about to go knee deep.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
This is just the tip so far.
Oh,
Just the tip, baby.
Lord.
Well,
I'm on
That
board.
investigative journalist.
I'm on board.
We've got an electrician.
we got a fat, angry electrician.
Channel 4, we have a Hulk.
People listen to you because of your job. I have this job because people listen to me. We're not the
Ooh,
same thing.
Quack,
Cody, you want to close it out, you beautiful boy?
Everyone, thank you for coming to another special
He is
episode of the Unsubscribed Podcast. I was joined today by Angry Cops, that electrician, Eli Double Tap, Brandon Herrera, myself, Donut Operator. Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. They ended it on a light note. This is an unprecedented 1 hour and 50+ minute long video here on the BrittReacts channel. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one. Go and have the day you deserve. Bye.